As lively as the Thrushwood household could become, nothing turned it on quite like mealtime. No Thrushwood nose could resist the siren song of the dinner table, especially during breakfast, when the crumbs were at their freshest. Even the most tasteless of saltines burst with flavors when placed on a plate with a sprinkle of grandmotherly love. Unlike the patrons of the larger house, they would not leave one crumb behind. Drops of food would be eaten off the floor without hesitation. To do otherwise would be hypocritical. Louise had melted down the chocolate chip to use as a topping to the cheese, cracker, and cookie crumbs she'd scavenged that morning. She played the role of the chocolate fairy, sprinkling a little touch of heaven onto each of their plates. When it came to Morgan's kids, however, it didn't take much in the tank to get their engines running. Davy grabbed his ball from the living room to toss around. Sophie started biting at her food, face first, like a wild animal. And Abigail suddenly found it difficult to resist teasing her twin brother. They were almost as energetic after eating it as they were just to see it. Even picky little Elizabeth had a chance of joining the Clean Plate Club with chocolate on the table. Louise couldn't begin to measure her joy at seeing the table so alive. Morgan, on the other hand, was on full damage control, striving to quell the storm that was brewing as a result of combining her kids and sugar. She never understood why her mother enjoyed causing such chaos. As she attempted to wipe the chocolate off of a jittering Sophia's face, Davy threw his ball a little too hard, knocking off Douglas's glasses and flying back into the living room. Dirk was naturally upset with this maneuver, as it was actually his ball, and he didn't like the look of where it was flying. Morgan chastised Davy for playing around at the dinner table, failing to notice just where the ball was heading. The ball had rolled all the way from the dining room table, across the living room, and out toward the front door. Were the door shut, it would have harmlessly bounced off it. However, in the excitement of preparing her chocolate toppings, Louise had forgotten to close the door behind her. Thus, there was nothing to stop the ball from rolling through the open door and into the untamed wilderness of the larger house. If there was one rule in the Thrushwood house, it was never to leave the safety of the mouse hole after sunrise for any reason. Under Morgan's rules, even looking outside the mouse hole was grounds for a spanking. It was a rule for the adults as well as the children, though for the adults, it was more of a strong suggestion. There was no telling what awaited them out there once the rest of the house was awake, and none of them were too keen on finding out. Even so, Davy and Dirk only had the one ball, and it wasn't as though there was a store around for them to buy another. If the larger residents found the ball and took it away, it would be gone forever. Louise volunteered to retrieve it, insisting there was no cause for concern. Their mouse hole had intentionally been dug out far away from any of the large furniture that could conceal predators, and the ball hadn't rolled too far out anyway. Louise was experienced enough to know what she could and couldn't get away with. She hung up her apron and strolled out to retrieve it with a casual, "Be right back," not even bothering to grab her sword or cape. Morgan was less optimistic about the idea. She wanted to tell her mother to stop, but Sophie, still high on her sugar rush, cut her off with the unrelenting demand to be read The Legend of Ice Cream again. In truth, Morgan didn't want her boys to lose their favorite toy either. She was just very partial to her grandfather's mantra of no unnecessary risks. At the very least, she wished her mother would put her cape on if she was going outside. She'd die of embarrassment if any other mouse family saw her mother like that.